Good morning and welcome to our English lesson today. And in our today's lesson, we are going to deal with possessive nouns. Before we deal with possessive nouns, the last thing I talked about tenses. I began the present simple tense. And I said there are four parts of the present simple tense. There are three types of tenses: the present tense, the past tense, and the future tense. And then I said each tense is subdivided into four substance. Like you have the present simple tense, the present continuous, the present perfect, the present perfect continuous tense. A learner is supposed to know how to form the present past continuous tense, how to form the present perfect continuous tense, how to perform the present perfect tense, how to form the present continuous tense, and how to which one is said to be a simple tense. So if you listen to a lesson, learn to make notes, because if you write something down, then you are in a position to remember or to memorize. But if you don't do that, then you find yourself in a position where you don't remember what you learned. So in our today's lesson, we are going to talk about possessive nouns. And if I say possessive, what I mean is ownership. What I mean is ownership. So if we say ownership, it means something belongs to you. It means something belongs to you. So if we talk about ownership, it means something belongs to you. Now, we are going to talk about possessive nouns using an apostrophe. Possessive nouns, use of an apostrophe. How to use an apostrophe. How to use an apostrophe to show possession. Now, if I say how to use an apostrophe to show possession, what does an apostrophe replace in a sentence? Look at my sentence. Baka is a boy. Baka is a boy. His dog is white. His dog is what? His dog is white. So we have these two sentences. Baka is a boy. His dog is what? His dog is white. Now, you have his. You can write this sentence in this way to show possession use of an apostrophe. You can say Baka's dog, Baka's dog, is what? Baka's dog is white. Now, I have an apostrophe and then an S, then an S. Baka's dog is what? Is white. What does that mean? This dog belongs to Becca or Baka, I don't know. This dog belongs to Becca. For example, Baka is a boy. His dog is what? His dog is white. Instead of writing this three sentences, you can just write one sentence by use of an apostrophe and say, Becca's dog is what? Becca's dog is white. Now, I have an apostrophe. What did my apostrophe replace? My apostrophe replaced the possessive pronoun. The possessive pronoun is in my sentence. Now, we've talked about possessive pronouns. You can say his, you can have hers, you can have mine, you can have their, you can have your, second person, singular and plural. You can have its. And I talked about contraction in sentences, when you are supposed to use its and when you are supposed to use its for possession and its for short form of it is, and it has. So you come to this, the apostrophe in a sentence will always replace what? Possessive pronouns. Now, or anything that shows possession. You can have whose is also shows possession. That something belongs to someone. What does that mean? There is no way you are going to have a sentence with a possessive pronoun and then have an apostrophe to show possession. But you realize that when you come to possessive pronouns, there are those ones that are used unanimously, like you can use them with singular and plural, or you can use them with the female and male. But you come to this possessive pronoun, there are some other possessive pronouns that can only be used with male and can only be used with what? And those ones that can only be used with female, with female. Are you getting that? Like Amina is a girl, so I'll say her pen. Amina is a girl, I'll say her pen. And Abdi is a boy, I'll say his pen. So you have his and you have her pen. Her and his show possession, so possession. But according to gender, Amina is female and then Abdi is male. So you are going to use his and you are going to use hers. But when you want to use an apostrophe to show possession in nouns, it is unanimous. It can be used with both female and it can be used with both male. Now, what does that tell you? That in case you come to a sentence and you are not sure if the name given is female or the name given is male, instead of using a possessive pronoun, simply go in and use the apostrophe. To show possession in nouns. Now I have Becca. Becca is a boy. His dog is white. I simply say Becca's dog is what? Becca's dog is white. Now we are going to talk of how to use the apostrophe to show possession. When we say of using apostrophe to show possession, we are going to divide the nouns in singular and in plural. Now you have singular nouns. So let's start with singular nouns to show possession using what? Now you have a possessive pronoun. Let's say a boy, which is singular. You have a girl, singular. You have boy, girl. Let's say you have a lady, which is singular. You want to form a possessive pronoun using a singular noun. What you do is you add an apostrophe and then an S to show possession. For example, let me come here and say that boy is Abdi. That boy is Abdi. His father is an engineer. You have that. So instead of having that boy is Abdi, his father is an engineer, I'm going to say Abdi's father is an engineer. Abdi's father is an engineer. Now, you realize that in my sentence, I omitted his and replaced the his, which was possession, with an apostrophe, then an S. With an apostrophe and then what? An S. Now, if you replace the sentence with an apostrophe and then an S, what it shows that the sentence is in singular and it's showing possession, meaning the engineer father belongs to who? Belongs to Abdi, or Abdi's father is an engineer. Like Abdi, a possession, the father belongs to Abdi, so the father is his. You are going to omit the possessive pronouns, and then once you omit the possessive pronouns, you are going to replace them with an apostrophe and then an S. Now what does that mean? An apostrophe and then an S shows possession. That is if you come to singular what? To singular nouns. Now you have singular nouns, you have boy, and then plural. So I want to possess boy, I'm going to say the boy's pen. So I'm going to say the boy's pen. I simply added an apostrophe and then an S to show that the pen belongs to the boy. You have girl, I'm going to say the girl's hair. Like this is the hair belongs to the girl. And you can come here and say the ladies. You can have the lady's handbag. What does that mean? The handbag belongs to the lady. Now I have the lady's handbag. I have girl's handbag. Boy's pen. This is singular nouns. And if you want to possess a singular noun, you simply add an apostrophe and then an S to show possession, to replace possessive pronouns. To replace what? Possessive pronouns. Which means if I have a boy, I'm going to say the boy's pen. I simply added an apostrophe and then an S to show possession. I have girl's hair. I have an apostrophe and then an S to show possession. the hair belongs to the girl, the hair belongs to the girl. Lady's handbag, the handbag belongs to the lady. I simply have an apostrophe and then an S to show that it is possession, to show that it is possession. Now, if you find a singular noun and you want to show possession by use of an apostrophe, simply add an A, an apostrophe, and then an A, an S. So this brings us to what? Brings us to plural nouns. Now, we've talked about this, and we talked of singular and plural, how to form singular of words and how to form plural of words. And then we talked of how to form the singular, like there are some nouns that end with an S in their plural, and there are some nouns that do not end with an S in their plural. For example, I have lady, this is singular, so I have singular, and then in my plural, lady is going to be what? Lady, ladies. I have woman in my singular, and in my plural is going to be women, women. I have men, man in singular, and in plural it's going to be men, it's going to be men. I have child in singular, and in plural my child is going to be children, children. But you can also have a boy, and in plural you have what? In plural you have boys. You can have a girl, and then in plural you are going to have what? To have girls. Now, you realize that ladies, women, men, children, boys, and girls are all plural nouns. But how they form their possessive or their possession is different. Now, this is how we are going to break it down. Those plural nouns that end with an S to show possession, those pronouns that end with an S, if you want to show possession, you don't add another S. You simply add an apostrophe to show possession. So you have, for example, ladies. I'm going to say the ladies' handbags. The ladies' what? Handbags. Now, I have simply an S, and then I added an apostrophe. If a plural noun ends with an S, don't add another S and then an apostrophe to show possession. Simply add an apostrophe to show possession. Because you realize that when it comes to the exams, they are going to have, let's say this is A, and then this B, they are going to say the ladies, the ladies' handbags. So you have A, and then this is A, this is your B. You have an S, an apostrophe, and then an A, an S. And you will realize that most learners will make a mistake. They simply go for B because they know if you want to form the possessiveness of a pronoun, of a noun, you simply add an apostrophe and then an A, an S. This only applies to singular nouns. And then it also applies to what? So you come here to the ladies. What does that mean? All plural nouns that end with an S. All plural nouns ending with an A and S. Plural nouns, all plural nouns. This is wrong, this is correct. All plural nouns ending with an S do not take another S. Instead, you add an apostrophe and then an A and then an S. For example, we have lady. In plural, we have ladies. So you have ladies' handbags. You simply add an apostrophe and then you simply add an apostrophe to show possession. You have boys. I'm going to have boys, and then I have boys. You have a boys, and then you add an apostrophe to show possession. Boys' books. No. And then you have girl. You have girl. Then if I want to show possession using girl, I'm simply having girl and then an apostrophe. Girls. I'm having girls and then an apostrophe to show an A, to show an S. And I've seen that in the exams where they are going to ask me, for example, they have A, B, C, D. You have A, then you have B, you have C, and then D. Then they ask which one is not correct, which one is not correct. So they give you boys. Then they give you boys. Then they are also going to give you what? They are going to give you boys. And then they ask you which one is not correct, which one is not correct. So you go to the sender to the answers, and maybe you don't know which one is wrong, which one is not correct in this sentence, unless you really know what you are doing. So you have boys, which is the plural of the word boy. And then you have boys, which shows what? Possession in single. And then you have boys, which show possession in plural. But we don't have this. Why? Because once a noun ends with an S to show its possession, you don't add another S. You simply add an apostrophe. And why is this important? Because many learners are actually going to mess. They are going to say C is not correct, but D is correct. D is correct. Because everybody knows for you to show possession, you must add an S and then an apostrophe and then an A and S. But this rule does not apply to nouns that end with an A, to noun that ends with an S. If the plural noun ends with an S, you are simply going to add an apostrophe to show possession. But that rule does not apply to those plural nouns that do not end with an A and S. For example, you have woman, the plural is women. You have man, the plural is men. You have child, the plural is children. The plural is children. We have sheep, the plural is sheep, for example. So you have boy, girl, I'm rubbing that. You have sheep, the plural is what? Sheep. Sheep, the plural is sheep. Sheep, You have fish, for example, in singular, the plural is fish. So what does that mean? If a plural noun does not end with an S to show its possessive using an apostrophe, you add an apostrophe and then an A and S. You form its plural just like you form the singular. That's as we form the possessiveness in singular. So you have woman, and in plural you have women. If I want to show its possessive, I simply add an apostrophe and then an A and S. You have man, the plural is men. You add an apostrophe and then an A and S. You have child, you have children, and then especially child and children. Most people you say child, plural, children's. The plural of child is children. It doesn't have an A and S. So if you want to show it's possessive, you simply add an apostrophe and then an A and S. And you realize that if I want to form the possessiveness of child, I'm adding an apostrophe and then an A and S. What does that mean? Those plural nouns that do not end with an S form their possessive using an apostrophe just like the singular nouns. So you have sheep, sheep's hair, wool. For example, you have sheep's wool to show possession, and then sheep's wool to show possession. So you have fish fins, possession. You have fish fins. So if a plural noun does not end with an S to show form its possessive, you add an apostrophe and then an A and S. This applies to irregular what? To irregular nouns. So you have man, men, child, children, children's, like you're showing possession, children's ball. You have sheep, sheep's hair, sheep's wool. You have fish fins, fish fins. Like the singular looks the same way as the plural in possession. But the rule does not apply to what? Those plural nouns that end with an A, those plural nouns that end with an S. Now, after talking about that, we are also going to talk about those nouns like proper nouns, but the ending of the proper nouns is an A, is an S. For example, you have Agnes, you have James, you have Agnes, you have James, you have Idrus, you have Sudeis. What is this? If you come across a proper noun and it ends with an S, you want to form its possessive, you don't add another S, you simply add an apostrophe to show its possession. What did I say? If you find a proper noun ending with an S, what you do, if you want to form its possessive, you don't add another S, you simply add an apostrophe. So you say Agnes book. That's her name. It is ending with an A and S. And you realize that in exams they are going to bring these names, James and Agnes, James and Agnes. Every exam, if they want to show test possessive, and they know most learners are going to say Agnes book, like you're adding an apostrophe and then another S to show possession. Now, if a noun, whether it's proper, whether it's common, ends with an S, and you want to form its possessive, you don't add another S, you simply add an apostrophe to show possession. For example, I have Agnes book, I have James pen, you can have Idrus, pencil, you can have Suday's book. So these nouns end in an S, with an S. So if you want to form their plural, their possession, you simply add an what? You simply add an apostrophe to show the possession. But this does not apply to nouns that do not end with an S. For example, I have Abdi. If I want to show possession of Abdi, I say Abdi's book. Abdi's book. What do I have? I have Abdi, the name, apostrophe, and then an S to show possession, But it does not apply to those names. For example, Agnes, James, Idrus, and Sudais that end with an A, with an S. If they end with an S, you want to form its possessiveness, you simply add an apostrophe to show possession. Exercise, just make sure you attempt and send me the answers. Have a good day.